Good evening, friends. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon, a retired NYPD detective with 20 plus years in law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from a law enforcement perspective, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you will get all things DutyRon when I go live or when I upload another video. Tonight I have a special guest. He is a repeat guest. He has been on with me once before. He is a retired special agent, Michael De La Pena. He spent 29 years in the FBI as a special agent, and the last 16 years of his 29 years, he worked as a polygraph examiner for the Boston FBI office. We are going to go over the Summerwell's mom interview, which included the dad. We're going to speak about Summerwell's, who was reported missing on June 15th of 2021. She's disappeared under some strange circumstances out of Tennessee. And we're going to get into it in a moment. I want to say a special thank you to my Patreon supporters, my channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage and interact in this live stream. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And if you have questions, stay till the end because we will be answering questions, myself and the retired special agent from the FBI, Michael De La Pena. Again, I want to say quickly before we get going, a special prayer goes out to Meg Lowe over in Southern Cal. She is going to have surgery tomorrow morning. So I want to say prayers for our good friend Meg Lowe in Southern Cal. So if everybody could please put a few prayer emojis and some hearts in the chat, that would be greatly appreciated for Meg Lowe, our good friend. She's a huge supporter of this community, and she is a good friend to everybody. So let's put some prayer emojis and some hearts in the chat for Meg Lowe. Wishing a speedy recovery for you and a very successful surgery on your back. So again, I'm going to get into we are going to analyze the interview. We're going to talk about body language. We are going to talk about polygraph exams. If you're interested in finding out everything related to the polygraph exam, which is alleged to have been conducted on Summerwell's mom, we are going to talk to an expert tonight. This is not going to be a fake book rumor. This is not going to be information that is inaccurate. We're going to get it straight from the horse's mouth. Someone who has conducted investigations for over 29 years and spent the last 16 of those 29 conducting criminal polygraph exams with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So I'm going to play quickly this interview. If you've seen it, please bear with me because this is going to all tie in to when I introduce my guests. So for the next 10 minutes, we're going to play this video. I'm going to try to speed it up and maybe skip over some of the parts. And then I'm going to bring Michael on and we're going to talk about this, this interview. And this was just conducted recently. So let me get this on the screen for you and set this up. Hi guys, I'm going to remove Josh and Mike and we're going to put it full screen and let's let it play out.
Yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here. Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands and she got a piece of candy from grandma and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch. And I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer. I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was. And they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times. And I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone. I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes that are around here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Just go to the FBI, the police, and clear it up. I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of elusive.
It's really strange that I've never seen this truck and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. And if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen. She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys did.
She tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make
herself.
it. I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control. So we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her at this point. Well, I knew right away that she was abducted. I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But I'm sorry that they had to spend so many man hours in these woods and everything. I've seen them limping and everything else, and I feel for them. But I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, in the eastern United States or whatever. But I wish there was a way. Just thankful for the person or persons that's doing that, out of love, and trying to get information and trying to get her found. We thank them from the bottom of our hearts.
That means a lot.
And we thank everybody who's trying so hard and praying so hard. And she's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. But, there's always going to be haters, and it's always going to be that way in this world. And we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. And that's the kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. Because we just try to be around good people. And we do have good people in this area. We found out since this has all happened. We got some real good neighbors and good folks everywhere. But
the most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without, thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked as much as he could and can and still is. And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around. Ever.
She loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl." And she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl until my arm got tired, But I put out there that one of Summer's favorite songs was Godzilla, and they say, and they're jumping all over me about past tense was, well, I'm sorry about that. It's just.
She also liked the song by New Breed. It was called House. My House. She sung that a lot of times when I play it on the TV. She loved to dance.
She liked to think of herself as a princess, and and all that, like all young girls do. And
she loved Frozen. She loved to be that Elsa, and
And I think she really loved to be in church because she felt a lot of love there. And I think you can't explain what that love is, but you feel it and you know it, when you're young. And she felt that there, and she loved everybody in that church, or she loves everybody in that church. I should rephrase that because they'll tear that apart as past tense, and I apologize again for that. I hope she gets to come home, and I hope she gets to be with our church family again.
Our best friend in that church was Robin. She loved her to death.
Yeah, she looked up to
When
women that were.
She come to that church, she went looking for Robin. That was her favorite person.
Any woman that was professional, that
was pretty, beautiful.
She looked up to those kind of women. She, they were the word I'm looking for, I can't think of it, but she looked up to them. She'd give them a run for their money every day. She'd give them a run for their money, and there was times, we'd be, at our boys like, don't do this and don't do that. And next thing you know, a stick would come up and just whop them, and it'd be like, Summer, don't do that.
Summer was the boss of the family.
She typical girl.
When they get out of line, she'd put them in line.
She'd do her best.
She loved to play in the mud and the water and swing on her swing and enjoy dirt.
When I run the lawnmower around, she would run behind me. When the boys run their bikes around, she, as fast as that little bike could go, she would be behind them running and keeping up with them, no problem. She loved to run. She just loved to run, and she could pull herself up on that swing, her full body weight with her two hands, and she could do that. None of the other boys can do that, but she can.
Was she at school yet?
No, she's going this year.
This was supposed to be her first year.
She's been. We did all the what?
I took care of everything.
Yeah.
I had her already took on all of her shots and registered in the school ready for this year.
Yeah. I just never expected for anyone to get a hold of my heart like she has, because I try to guard my heart as much as I can, but she holds my heart in her little hands, and I love her with all my heart. I'd do anything to have her back.
Your old little girl.
If there's any way, if you can find it in your heart to please release her somehow. I don't know how you might do that. I mean, 'cause you're probably scared of going to prison for the rest of your life and everything else, I'm sure. But please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go, and where we can get her back. And just please have mercy on her, and and us and her brothers. And she's such a loving, good spirit. Please don't hurt her. Please let her come home. My biggest fear is, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? Go get Summer now." And that's happened over and over again. And we'd come out and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor person.
She loved to be outside.
And I'm so afraid that she's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything, and I'm afraid that she won't be able to, locked away where she can't be outside or play with a puppy or anything, love nature, and that's my greatest fear, that she's not able to do any of these things anymore, or that she could possibly, I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility. I don't want to address all the negativity. I just want to focus on the positive, because it's so easy to get, lost in that negativity and stuff, and it's just not worth it. So I'm just, I appreciate y'all for the good things you say and your prayers. That's awesome.
When mom and sister went missing,
Mom
I
got
was
you. Mom
in
got you.
between Arkansas and Tennessee. I don't know all of what happened or what did happen, but I hope that they find her too and bring her home safely too.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, she disappeared without a trace. They haven't found anything, haven't found a body, nothing. And you know, when you see cases like that, that's why I lose hope on Summer. You know, I want to keep hope, but sometimes I lose hope.
Lose it.
And I think, well, maybe we won't never see her again, you know. So I start thinking in past tense. Sorry, but
Okay, folks. So I'm going to end it right there. Let me remove this video. Guys, I want to introduce my guest, retired Special Agent Michael De La Pena. Great friend of the DutyRon channel. He has been on. He's a return visitor. Thank you so much for taking your time out to come on and analyze this video and give us your take on this. Mike, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I highlighted some of the messages. There's a lot of mixed bags of emotion between our viewership and the folks who are, you know, this is just catching everybody's heart. We're talking about a little innocent 5-year-old girl that just vanished out of thin air. And from the story that was told, it has changed a little bit here and there, but essentially planting flowers outside, Mike, downstairs, the child allegedly went, and then in minutes, as you heard the mom say, she just vanished. And I showed the Google Earth of that location where they live. It's very rugged terrain, and it's a lot of brush and a lot of bush. It's really hard for a 5-year-old to make make an exit without being seen by somebody or anything. But I wanted to quickly have you tell the viewers a little bit about your career and what you've done with the Federal Bureau of Investigation out of the Boston office. Talk to the viewers about your expertise, Mike.
Well, for the last 16 years of my career, I was conducting interviews every day. That includes the polygraph. It's an interview. Polygraph is essentially an enhanced interview. And I probably did close to 2,500 exams over the last 17, 18 years in my life, and 16 of those the last years of my career. We also study things like, body language, and also a person's demeanor and how they're acting in its totality. And I think that's what's going to be important here in what I have to say.
Yeah, you and we spoke today briefly about, and we had emails back and forth. I shared this and several other videos of the dad of Donald's earlier statements. So Michael has the advantage of seeing a few different interviews, but
Yes.
again, as you pointed out, this is limited information that he's going to give an analysis on. Again, before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of my fans who asked questions like, how accurate, DutyRon, is a polygraph? And also, why or why not is a polygraph inadmissible in court? Can you expand a little bit on that for the viewing audience? Now, again, for you folks who are coming in late, this is Michael De La Pena. He is a 29-year veteran, retired Federal Bureau of Investigation special agent specializing in polygraph. So if you could just give them a little bit on that, Mike.
Well, one of the problems, if you will, with polygraph in terms of it being admissible is there's no set standard for training of polygraph. So someone who goes to the federal polygraph school where I attended, it's 3 months, very rigorous school. And then we have a very rigorous apprenticeship program afterwards. which lasts as far as many as 2 years after graduating. You could go to a school in some places, and in 2 weeks, you take a course, and now you're a polygraph examiner. And so the exam is really only as good as the person giving that examination. So among other reasons, that is one of the reasons why it's not admissible in court. It doesn't reach the standard of, for example, DNA analysis.
Well, that brings me to the next point. What out of the exam? We looked at Chris Watts. He was given a polygraph exam by the CBI, the Colorado Bureau of Investigations. He was given the polygraph and then was told on video that he failed miserably, and then proceeded to give a confession. Can you talk about Mirandaizing folks that you conduct polygraph on? Is that necessary? Is that something that's done? Is that something that, because I don't believe we saw that with Chris Watts, but maybe that happened before the camera rolled. But talk about that and why you would give someone Miranda warnings before connecting them up to a polygraph.
Well, we do that routinely in any criminal case when we're going to do a polygraph. And often it's before it's on tape, so you wouldn't see that portion of it. It's an administrative matter. Although, quite frankly, if I were taping it, I would want it on the tape so that the judge can see that he was in fact Mirandized. But one of the reasons that is a standard policy, at least with the FBI, I can't speak to other agencies, is because during the portion of the exam where the person is taking the test, they are essentially restrained. Polygraph components are placed on their body, and so therefore there is an element of you could not leave, essentially.
Yeah, you're not free to leave.
You're not free to leave.
So it's almost like being placed in handcuffs a little bit, right?
Kind of.
Yeah. So talk about some of the elements of that. And I mean, some people know and some people don't know this. Is there blood pressure cuff? Is there anything on the chest? Like a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah. So there are two what we call pneumotubes. They're just, it's a fancy way of saying rubber tubes. They record your respiration rate. They go here and then one over your stomach. There's a blood pressure cuff. There's a pad that you're sitting on that's a sensor pad. So because of these things, it's kind of restrictive in a way. And so out of an abundance of caution, we do Mirandize. I'm not sure the Supreme Court's ever taken up a case related to that. But.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've conducted 2,500 of them, so I don't think you've really seen any problems with that. I mean, I think since the FBI is doing it, it might just even be a standard right across the board. It has been spoken about, and you and I discussed this briefly, and I wanted to just get it out here now that we're talking about polygraphs. Donald Wells made a statement to the news while being interviewed, and he said, "My wife took and passed a polygraph test." Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on that as far as the investigative team? If that in fact was not true, would that expand a little bit on that about the husband making that statement?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that he's not lying about that. I mean, because if he were, I mean, he knows that he's being watched. He knows that he'll be immediately refuted by the investigators. So that's something that I just can't believe he would lie about. I think he believes that his wife took and passed the polygraph. I think he would actually have knowledge of that, and I have no reason to doubt that I think the investigators would immediately challenge that if that weren't true.
Right. So in other words, if he was calling the bluff and just putting out his own misinformation, the TBI, the FBI, the local sheriff would immediately pay him either a visit or ask him to come in and say, "Hey, why are you saying that?" I don't think there's anything criminal to that element-wise, because again, he could say whatever he wants, but they are continually saying during their pressers that both parents are being totally cooperative. And I sent you that last TBI press conference. That last official press conference was on Thursday, and Leslie Earhart said and was asked, "Are these parents cooperating?" And that was Thursday, just this past Thursday, and she said 100% that they are cooperating.
If I could address that, from everything I've read, they're cooperated. In fact, one of the sheriffs or one of the officials said that they didn't need to get search warrants because the parents had consented to full searches of the property. So, I don't see any evidence that they're not cooperating, to be frank with you. I know we want to find a villain immediately, but it's not that simple.
Right. And I kind of agree with you there, because this is a small town. There's not a lot of people. And I think that, like there's a lot of people asking, well, what about the element of them escaping and running off or running away? It's a heavily wooded, mountainous area, and everybody knows everybody. So I think during the course of this investigation, they are giving them whatever they need to get. But I wanted to talk to you quickly before we get into the analysis of this 13 or 12-minute interview and the other interview that you saw with the dad holding on to his son. You did look at that one, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Look at that one. Okay. Let me just say quickly, thank you to Police Off the Cuff for the $20 super chat. Bill, I guess I got to buy you a beer next time I see you. So $20 super chat coming in, super sticker from Police Off the Cuff. That's retired Detective Sergeant Bill Cannon from the Homicide Squad in Manhattan North Homicide. Thank you so much for the super chat. Everybody should go over and check out Police Off the Cuff. Some great guests and real crime stories coming from Bill Cannon. So thank you for that, Bill. Again, there's so many questions coming in. I want to dive right into this with you. What was your take initially on the mom here? We'll do them one by one. What was your take on Summer's mom and her plea here? This was her first time speaking, essentially, to the media. Let the audience know what your takeaway was there.
Well, I think we have to be careful how we judge people, because these are not people from Manhattan. I mean, these are very simple people. They're from their vocalization, not very educated, and they've just lost their child. We don't have all the facts yet, but I think we shouldn't judge so harshly them. I think that the mother has some sort of, I would say, cognitive impairment, or her affect is off. But we don't know why. We don't know, maybe she's medicated.
Immediately, we saw in the conversations in the chat, people were saying she looked medicated. People said she looked like she was either drunk or on drugs. Or maybe something long-term. I don't know her medical history. None of us know her medical history. But at the end of the day, it didn't seem like to me that she was, putting together proper wording, and they were just trying to convey a message over, a news reporter that they're probably not used to having to give that type of news conference or press conference. But again, we're talking about a 5-year-old daughter of these two. I got initially, and I told you this, I conveyed this on a live stream, and I conveyed this to you. I got rubbed the wrong way. Just my detective intuition. The hair on my arm stood up when I saw the dad first speaking, and that was with his son, and where he was referring to sex trafficking, and he kind of went off the rail, like into a couple of different areas. And that red flagged me big time. And I expressed that to you on our phone conversation early this morning. And let me tell you, the audience here, there's 1,500 people watching. Michael was kind enough to take a call from me at 9 in the morning. That's how invested I am in this case. And that's how really, that's how hard that I am trying to get to the bottom of this case and give you guys a good feeling from a law enforcement perspective, what I think about this case. And I wanted to bring a professional, and Mike, his knowledge and opinions and his factual knowledge of conducting interviews I wanted you to also explain to the audience what type of training other than with the polygraph would you receive to know body language, like looking at people's facial expressions. And we're referring to Donald and the mom, Candus. She's going by the name Kansas Wells now, not Candace Bly. She's using her the married name Kansas Wells. What kind of training was incorporated into the polygraph training with body language? Because a lot of people don't. I'm saying it because I want you to give it in layman's terms. What are some of the signs, or what are some of the training that you receive for this?
Well, you look for a person who is defensive, challenging when it's inappropriate, a person who is combative, a person who is closed physically. They'll close their legs up, their arms up. And to be honest, I didn't see any of that with these people. Their demeanor seems very, very calm, and which, you would say that would be weird, except it's been 2 weeks since she's been missing, so they wouldn't be hysterical.
Right.
I just didn't see any red flags from my perspective in terms of being defensive at all. They were very, very calm, and his demeanor, both of them, I thought were calm.
Now, also for the listening audience here, this is not an interrogation or an interview with law enforcement. This is the news media sitting down in their backyard, essentially. This is the backyard of their house or the side of their house. So the interview that was given or conducted, it was nothing like this. It was more direct questions. It's more, speak about those lines of questioning versus what this laid back type session is. This is for the media to show and to get ratings, I think, in a sense. We have the parents and here's their plea. So it's not the same as if we were to bring them in and question them, correct?
Absolutely, because what you're looking at there is just a non-confrontational, chat. So it's limited in it. It's all I have to go on is what I'm seeing there. But if I had them in an interview with me or an interrogation, you might see different if they are somehow involved, because I would be challenging them directly and directly asking them, did you have something to do with her disappearance? And then you'd want to see their reaction to those challenging questions, and we just don't have that.
Right. So as you said to me, he sent me a pretty detailed email. I'm not going to read it here, but basically he went over all the points and all of the things that he would look for, and there was no indication for him. And this is a professional, so don't kill the messenger here. LM, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. She says, thanks, DutyRon and Michael De La Pena. Thank you for the super chat, and I appreciate that. Again, this is not, Mike, you and I spoke too, again, we're not going to just force feed what the masses want to hear. Okay. Again, my detective intuition and my skill set says something's not right about the dad. I just now saw the mom, and I say to myself, we could be dealing with some type of mental impairedness, if that's even a word, but or some type of medication that she's on. We don't have that data. And that's the difference here, is that we don't have access to the files. We don't know what they were questioned on. But I could tell you this, as far as the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Colorado Bureau, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the TBI, these folks don't mess around. And when it comes to investigations like this, they have the best tools of the trade. And Mike can tell you, and I'll tell you this, they don't just put their B or C squad guy on or gal on it. They put their A squad on it. This is a nationally and now internationally covered story. Same thing goes for the California City Boys. They're not going to put some slouchy detectives on the scene. The investigators that are running it are the best of the best. And you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, Mike. The bosses, there's bosses that are running these investigations. They say, I want my top guys on it and gals, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, you want to take this question, Mike? I don't know if you could see it. I know you don't got your spectacles on. It's Garden Girl. She's a channel member, and she says, Mike, if she was on an I don't know what that
Cholinergic.
medication, would that affect the results of a polygraph test? Thanks much.
Well,
Love to you and DutyRon.
what medications that you're on could definitely affect a polygraph. If it's an antipsychotic drug, if it's a beta blocker, so if you're on some heart medications, it could have some effects. So again, we don't know if she's on medications or also if she's high on something, that's would really invalidate the test, to be honest with you.
And these are different factors that we do not have access to the files. The investigators, they know her medications. They have a list of her medications. Like some people say, well, HIPAA laws, she doesn't have to tell them. Well, it behooves her to tell them if she's on any type of medication, because that will justify any type of slurred speech or not proper sentence putting forward. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a 5-year-old girl who vanished in what the mom says, what Candus says is a matter of moments. You didn't take anything away from that story of her planting flowers in the front with her mom, the grandmother, and then the boys and the daughter goes inside, and then she goes down to the basement, and then the mom goes and does something and then comes back in moments, and then poof, she's gone. Nothing caught you odd about that statement? I mean, I asked you to look at their body language, but what about that statement, Mike?
I would hesitate to read too much into that for the very reason that sometimes the passage of time can appear differently to a person, especially under stress. So I just wouldn't read too much into that. But however, I would note that according to the story, she wasn't alone with Summer. She was with her mother.
Right. And that story did change, because initially she was saying that she was alone, and then now mom is there. You could bet your bottom dollar, folks, that grandma has been interviewed time and time again, probably by multiple people from multiple agencies. And I think everybody in this entire family, the complete family olive branch, has been called in, Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong, and interviewed, right? Electronic devices, if there were any. And we know that spotty cell service is in this mountainous area. The TBI, Leslie Earhart, says that communications is challenging. Sheriff Lawson acknowledged that it's always been an issue with cell coverage and Wi-Fi in that area. As a matter of fact, when they do their press conferences, it's from this berm that has a power transmission line, and you see the news reporters, you see the investigators. I heard a news reporter say, if I move to the right, I'm going to lose the signal. So this is a challenging area. Captain Tim Coop from the Churchill Rescue Squad has been out there night and day with his men and women. Talk about the cadaver dogs, the bloodhounds. They talked about all of these tools being utilized, but they said it didn't go in the home. I don't understand not going into the home, because if the mom said she was in the basement and then she yelled down to the basement, she was no longer there, this doesn't add up to me. It doesn't make sense. So some type of information is not getting out the right way here, because if I'm on this investigation, the house is the first place. You work yourself from the inside out. So if mom and the son said that she went downstairs to play in the playroom, as mom says, why aren't the cadaver dogs down there, the bloodhounds? I don't understand.
I have to think that they've been in there already. I just don't think we have that information.
But I heard with my own ears, TBI and the sheriff say that they didn't go in the house. Maybe they must have misspoke. I don't know.
It has to be, or if not, then why not? I mean, that's on them. They need to get a warrant then.
Right. And no warrants have been issued as per the sheriff. And that was Thursday. I can play it. I know you don't. I don't have to play it. You can trust me on that. Let me go to the chat quickly because I feel like I'm ignoring this 1,800 people watching here live right now. Let me know where you're watching, your city and state or your country. And if you're new, put a new in the chat so I can say hello quickly to you. Me and Michael would like to welcome you here to this live chat. And if you are new coming in, this is Michael De La Pena. He is a 29-year veteran, retired Federal Bureau of Investigation. He worked in 16 or 17 years, as he says, as a polygraph examiner for the Boston office. How busy was that office, Mike?
It's the 10th largest FBI office in the country out of 54. So
yeah, I knew it was. I had to lead you into that so everybody could hear what how busy that office is. I mean, 26 Federal Plaza is one of the busiest here in New York City and Manhattan. But Boston does have quite a busy caseload over there. So I'm looking quickly at the chat. We have Arizona, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania. New from MJ is new. Hello, Oregon. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Hi, Joanne. Who else is here? Jennifer from Bakersfield. Jennifer Nobles, my good friend. Albuquerque, New Mexico. The chat is going too fast. Yes. I can't slow it down at this time because I've got too much going on here. Hello from the UK, from Lane. She says hi to Mike and Ron. Texas, Alaska. New, says Nina. Thank you so much. Beth from the UK. Hello. Great to see you. Thank you, Maryland, Michigan. Anybody from the Boston area? Anybody from Boston? Mobile, Alabama. My aunt lives in Mobile. We always used to go shrimping when I was a little boy down in the Gulf. There's a Bostonian right there. Hello, Miller. Nature. Thank you. New says, thank you, Ellen, for being new from New Jersey. That was a tongue twister. DutyRon, your chat is out of control. Thank you, Lady Tramp. I appreciate that. All right. Again, so there are a lot of unanswered questions here because this is an active investigation. And, Mike, you could tell you could tell just by the way things are going here. These folks are dotting their I's and crossing their T's. We're talking about a 5-year-old, pretty blonde young kid, still a baby, I say, at 5. They're going to use every bit of resource that they have. And as you stated the last time you were on with us, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has state-of-the-art crime lab, state-of-the-art forensics. Is that all going to come into play here at some point in time, or has it been put in play as of now, would you think, 2 weeks in?
There's absolutely no doubt about it. They have FBI has teams that go out specifically in cases like this, and part of the team involves forensics. They're going to go through all their devices and social media, and everything is going to be looked at. So they won't leave any stone unturned. Yeah.
Let's also give an acknowledgement to the Captain Tim Coop from the Churchill Rescue Squad. Now, these are not law enforcement guys, but the rescue squad is there to go out into the deep brush if someone gets hurt or if someone is lost. And these are guys who are trained professionals. They talk about copperhead snakes and all the different wildlife that's out there. It's a dangerous thing for the general public to start going and trying to search in this terrain. So we really, I can't overemphasize how important it is for you to be careful and not to go out there and search alone. And they're actually saying don't search unless, you're a professional organization and you come down there and get approval. So they're asking everybody to please, let them do their job. Right now, the daily searches have been scaled back. And that would tell me that the investigative part of this, the investigation has gone to a different, into a different area. There's no longer that urgency of a recovery or saving this little girl. They're now going into a different area and will still search if they get credible information. And that's what they said. Anytime, thank you for the $5 super chat. Why was the little girl in most recent pic shown to have a buzz cut? Was this punishment of some kind? Question mark. CPS been to the house at all? Question mark. Why no search? The mom said here that the little girl shaved a little part of her head and then she just shaved it all off, and then the mom shaved it. There was a talk that someone said that there was lice involved. I don't know. I think that was just a rumor. But that's irrelevant. It doesn't really matter because we're talking about having to try to find, out what happened to this girl. Was she abducted? Was she sex trafficked, which I highly doubt? Was she just randomly picked up? Was it a planned thing? Was it somebody trying to get back at the father for a bad business deal? These are all things that investigators have to look at. I want to go on to some of your work, Mike, so we can promote, because I want to wrap it up. I'm already past the time I promised you, 45 minutes. Author of 3 books, Coyote Wars, The Last Coyote, and Coyote Rising. FBI suspense thrillers spanning from 2014, 2016, 2018. The trilogy. Talk a little bit about it. Let's tell the people about some of your work.
Okay, thank you. So it is a FBI trilogy. It's about an FBI team. They're based out of Boston, and they go after the bad guys. And the books one leads into the other. And I got permission from the FBI to write those. I was still on the job when I did write those, and I think they're getting good reviews, and people like them.
Yeah, last time you were on, quite a bit of my fans picked up some of the books. So I'm going to link, and I've already linked it down below, a Amazon link where you can go and purchase Michael's books. I encourage you guys to support him. He's got quite a fan club. He goes out in the field and meets the people. Are you back at doing that with COVID and everything kind of?
I'm starting now, but the COVID really put a stop on that. Yeah.
It looked like you were really getting out there and meeting fans. And that was great. I loved it. I showed a lot of pictures on the last one. Infamous Truth Teller says, and thank you for the $10 super chat. Hi, Ron. I'm curious about the interview when she said she was a tomboy speaking about Summer in a past tense. What do you think about that? Mike, you want to address the past tense? You saw the dad kept highlighting that because he's getting a lot of stuff for that. You want to talk about that?
I will. I think that is often a very big red flag. We saw that in the Susan Smith killing of her 2 children. But I think it's more of a red flag when that kind of statement occurs immediately following the disappearance. It has been 2 weeks now, and I think it's reasonable to think that she's come into foul play. So I'm not going to hold them to that. And they did use the present tense back and forth sometimes. So I just think that these people aren't very educated, and quite frankly, I think it's reasonable for them to believe after 2 weeks that she's come into foul play.
Right. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And at this time, I feel that that's definitely true. I am concerned about the non-search. If in fact that didn't happen, I highly doubt. Like, something really tells me that there's no possible way that law enforcement didn't go inside that house. Haley Turner sends in a $5 super chat and says, Lovely to listen to you both. I have a little crush on Michael. Oh my, it's starting already, Mike. One of my fans has a crush on you.
Then she'll love the books.
And she'll love the books. Go and pick up his books. The link is down below in the description. Anybody else with questions, super chats, get it right up to the front. And I'm trying to look to see if there's any. Let me look in the private chat. Freethinker says, if Candus was under the influence and didn't tell the examiner, would the results be considered? Or if she had admitted to being sedated, would they proceed with the polygraph? No. The answer is no to that. Terry says distraction techniques are easily detected. Correct, says Terry G. Is distraction techniques easily detected, Michael?
Absolutely. The polygraph comes with certain sensors that will show if you're trying to fidget, move around, and screw with the exam.
Yes. Another person says, I'm looking at the private chat from Josh, talks to animals, says, has anyone stepped forward to state what this couple is like, i.e. friendly, good parents? The unknown. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. We don't have access to the case folder, and Michael, now he's on overtime because I promised him 30 minutes and court TV is in session, and it didn't seem to affect the viewership here. But yeah, the thing of it is people are saying we don't have confirmation from the feds or the state on the polygraph. What's the protocol, Mike, from the FBI? Do you guys make it a point in missing person cases to reveal whether you did or didn't do a polygraph? And if so, do you give that results out? Take it from there.
Well, in a case like this, it's multi-agency. So there's no way really to keep a secret like this. So if we were doing the polygraph, the sheriffs are going to know. They're going to be watching the test with us. The state police are probably there. If the sheriffs did the test, the FBI will be there. The state police will be, and we're all working together. And there's just no way to keep something from that. Plus, if they let the person go after the test, it's because they passed the test. So that's the natural inference.
Right. So, again, Michael seems to think that the husband coming on national television saying that his wife took a polygraph, he wouldn't just make that up. And if he did, he would be brought in and questioned. I don't see him getting charged with anything because there's nothing criminal about it, but the investigators wouldn't be happy with that. And it would probably be a retracted statement of some sort. Pugs says, I find the dog search is very concerning. The tracks just end. They are getting nothing. 2 of the teams are the best in the nation. So I read and I saw that there were some outside teams that came and did some tracking, but I never heard of anything inside the house. But again, I think that that's one of the first places where they would go with bloodhounds, cadaver dogs, and all of the above. So I have to tend to think that did take place. I'm going to do some diving into that to see if, in fact, it did take place or not. Again, I'm just going to look at the chat quickly because there's still 1,600 folks here. I want to see if anybody has anything, any of the Patreon, any of my channel members, any of my regular folks have any questions towards Mike or myself. I'm going to look at them for another 3 minutes, and then we will wrap it up. Thank you, Sam. She says, Black Rose, DutyRon's channel is awesome. I tend to agree with that. Don't you, Mike?
I have to concur.
Thanks, bud. Thank you. FBI loves to get their person. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's a good one. Let's find that. So here's a great statement. The lady is a tramp says, the FBI loves to get their person. They will. Just wait. I tend to agree. Those folks are the best of the best, and they're doing everything that they can to try to find. You could see from the conferences, the press conferences, the sheriff, Sheriff Lawson, Captain Tim Coop, Leslie Earhart from the TBI. These folks they have a mission, and the mission is to find out what happened to Summer Wells, and that's their only mission at this time. Everybody's chiming in with their opinions. The parents know what happened. I mean, that could be true, but then again, it could not be true, So we can't rush to judgment. And Michael, thank you for reeling it in and giving your honest opinion of this. It might not be popular. It's not probably what everybody wanted to hear from you. But if you were just spoon feeding everybody what they wanted to hear, that wouldn't make it right. So again, this is a professional's opinion. I know it's going to get a lot of buzz on the street, and I'm sure that some other experts might refute what you're saying, but I happen to feel that your 29 years and 16 plus years of experience, 2,500 polygraphs, I go with you all day, every day. So I appreciate, your professional opinion here, and I value it. So for me, I don't say that these 2 are off the hook, because I still get that bad vibe from Dad, and he's got a definite criminal history. They have the domestic. We talked about this, me and you, Mike, October of 2020. She wrote out a domestic incident report and stated that she was in fear for her life and her kids. 6 months or so later, here we are. So all of this stuff comes into play, and the investigators look at it. Trust me, these reports don't just get pushed to the side. They look at every aspect of this, and they really leave no stone unturned. Navy vet, thank you for the $20 super chat. He comes in and says, seems strange that the Kansas sister got custody of 2 of her children, went missing and never found. Someone called CPS. Kansas threatened someone who called CPS. This time, Summer disappears. This is all stuff for the investigators to look into. If it seems strange to you or anybody who's not in the law enforcement field, you could bet your bottom dollar it's much more eye-catching to the folks that are in charge of finding out what happened. You know, they have to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So I'm going to put the tip line down below. Michael, thank you so much for being here. Any final words for these folks that are just wanting to get answers? Any final words for them, patience, or any kind of advice that you would give to them as a former FBI special agent?
I would say 2 things. First of all, a case like this will never be closed until they find Summer or her body. It will always remain an open case. And secondly, I'd feel a lot better about all this if I could go down and polygraph both the parents, myself personally.
Yeah. And you know what? If you were down there and you were doing that polygraph, I'd want to be right there with you in that interview room so I can follow up with some questions with you. But really, at the end of the day, I have confidence in our men and women in the federal, state, and local level of law enforcement. These guys have the best of the best there, the best tools, sonar equipment, all kinds of drones and all kinds of stuff that they can do that would probably make your head spin. So I think that they will get to, I have a good feeling that they will find out what happened to her, and we should see in a short order some progress on this case. So Cassidy says, Cassie Roku says, what about they both talk in past tense? We already talked about that. Mike, do you want to just take that quickly, because I might not say the right words?
I mean, I just think that these people have, it's limited education, and quite frankly, as I said before, 2 weeks having passed by, it's not unreasonable to think that something has happened to her. I mean, the fact is, it's difficult to believe that we'll get her back alive. I hate to say that.
Yeah. So many people are saying thank you to you. I've been trying to look at the comments, but I want to stay focused on what we're talking about. Josh, thank you. Josh is going to go and eat, so he's gone. Thank you for producing. Mike, we're here at this 57 minutes. Let me end it before an hour hits. Listen, guys, again, have the confidence in law enforcement. Don't listen to fake book rumors, because it'll take you down a toxic path that will not get you any answers. Stay tuned for more of the law enforcement aspect and professionals. I'm planning on bringing in Doug Roller, who is a retired LAPD canine. I had him on in the past, and he has his own canine business where he tracks missing persons and all kinds of things. I'm going to bring Doug back on to talk about the dog aspect of this case, and we'll do that in short order. But tomorrow night at around 9 p.m. Eastern, I am going to have a retired corrections captain from the Dodge Correctional Facility in Wisconsin, where Christopher Watts is housed. And he's going to talk tomorrow night with us about the daily business and the daily movement of Chris Watts, who his cellmate is, who gets to visit him, who is communicating with him. We're going to talk in depth about Chris Watts and his life in prison. And that's going to be an interesting live stream. You're not going to want to miss it. Again, a retired corrections captain who's a big boss in the Dodge Correctional Facility. And we're going to talk about Chris Watts. and how he is being housed and caged. And he's an evil monster who has killed his wife, his unborn son, and his 2 beautiful daughters. So we're going to hear about his daily life, and I hope you guys will enjoy hearing about his control, how it's been reversed. The roles have been reversed. He's no longer a narcissistic control freak. He is a killer. He is now a convict behind bars. Mike, thank you so much for being here. Much love and respect to you, my brother. Thank you for your service to our country and your continued service afterwards. Guys, go and pick up his book. As I like to end all of these live streams, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, and all victims of crime and their families across the globe. Good night from New York City, and thank you for joining.